is Good Day Street Talk.
Welcome to Good Day Street Talk. I'm Ty Hernandez. It started as a small group online and led to protesters gathered in Lower Manhattan's financial district. Now, more than a month later, Occupy Wall Street has evolved into a worldwide movement. Protesters say they represent the 99% that do not benefit from capitalism, but critics say their message is vague and misdirected. Fox 5's Dick Brennan has more.
They produce slick videos like this. Definitely not your father's 60s protest. This one brought to you by Twitter and Facebook. But don't expect this group to have all the answers, especially for reporters. Everyone wants to know specifics. Do you have a specific goal? Do you have a specific politician? Is there a politician? Is there an idea? What is it?
I think it's disempowering to say this is our one specific goal, this is our one specific demand.
It would also be off the group's talking points. Look at the thousands of emails circulating on the web between organizers about giving specifics. Quote, the moment we endorse any politician or any piece of legislation, the media will latch on to that as our one demand. At that point, they will have no need to cover us specifically. Emails insist, quote, it's best not to answer the questions that press pose.
Fox is here, and you know what? There is a God in heaven.
Michael Moore showed up in Zuccotti Park in September in a seemingly random visit. Or was it? One email read, quote, does Michael Moore know about this event? Can anyone get in touch with him? Moore, of course, never got the memo on talking points. Has capitalism been good to you?
No, capitalism has hurt. Capitalism destroyed my town.
One email gleefully says, quote, I'll keep working with Patrick to blank with the mass media.
We are here!
And when all else fails, get nutty. One organizer suggests if you find yourself in an interview you don't like, use the Dada Ninja technique. A sample. Interviewer, quote, why are you here? Dada Ninja, quote, the gravitational forces of the moon have ruined the taste of my coffee. I came down here to put pressure on the worldwide calorie-free sugar lobby.
These guys are very, very sophisticated. This is not your average protest. From food to business expertise to media relations, they have it all handled.
Messaging expert Mike Paul says organizers should be careful what they wish for.
When you have such an organization where you have so much money that you're still keeping it in banks when you're attacking banks, you become much more like the enemy than an average protester.
Well, joining me now to talk about the impact of the Occupy Wall Street movement is Nicole Gelinas, who's a senior fellow of the Manhattan Institute, Jed Morey, publisher of Long Island Press and founder of JedMorey.com, Dr. Paul Levinson, who's a professor of communications and media studies at Fordham University, political analyst Basil Smikle, who's the founder of Basil Smikle Associates, and Tom Borelli, director of the Free Enterprise Project at the National Center for Public Policy Research. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Big crowd, kind of like the one at Wall Street on certain days. Let's talk about Dick Brennan's piece. The idea is not to get stuck on one message, so then you have a protest just for protest's sake. It may keep it going, but is there a real strategy here in the end? What will they accomplish?
Well, Dick Brennan seems to be annoyed that the mass media are somehow being given short shrift here, and they are, because the mass media have done a very poor job in reporting this, in reporting the economic hardships that people are going through. And so what Occupy Wall Street is really about is getting the message out in a very different way, through Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook.
But it does seem to make sense, based on what we found there, that because we're not getting a single message for them, and now we're discovering that's what they want, because it kind of keeps them going. But if that's the case, then there won't be any change at the end of the day. I mean, is this a protest just for protest's sake?
No, not at all. What I see is a group of really left-wing radicals that are really supporting wealth redistribution and even more regulation of the private sector. And any group is going to be defined by what they say, what they do, and what they look like. And in all three, they're coming out looking really bad. They have anti-Semitic comments, anti-American comments, anti-capitalism comments, and it's very detrimental. And behavior-wise, you know, there's people say they smell, and then there's people who have been arrested. So I think they also have a big image problem going forward.
People have been arrested because the NYPD is out of control. They arrested the other day Naomi Wolf, who is basically walking down a street. She is an author, posing no public danger or threat, but the cops thought that wasn't appropriate. So even though we have a First Amendment in this country, even though we're supposed to be a free society, she's pulled away in handcuffs.
But I think, so to sort of go back on your point, I think that they do have a bit of a message, but it's mixed. What's interesting is that we can talk about how sophisticated they are using social media, using Facebook and Twitter and other means, email, internet. So we're in an age where we need to find a message, because that's just the age that we're in. So it's appropriate to ask, what are the concerns, what are sort of the top 5 points that you want us to take away from this march? And in the absence of that, I think it's hard for a lot of people to be able to latch on. And I actually also bring in the point about the march in Atlanta. And they had Congressman John Lewis. And when you talk about someone who's been involved in civil rights marches for forever, and part of the struggle forever, I mean, this is one of the iconic figures in American protests, American civil rights. And he was not allowed to speak. So I think
speech was silenced.
Right there. And so that, I think, is what I think creates this sort of mixed bag of messages, which is what a lot of people in the general public and some in the media are trying to maneuver through.
All right. But when you see people like Chris Hedges or Jeff Charlotte and these renowned authors that are down there, these are not people who smell. These are people who are extraordinarily well versed in the issues of the economy and capitalism. And what you're seeing by not having any specific message is you're seeing a group of people that are coming up with very organic messaging that's coming from the bottom, being distributed through the top, but by stopping short of saying, here's our list of demands, which they are actually beginning to progress to, they're encouraging what we're doing right here, is having a dialogue. And all of a sudden, the nation is having this, what I think is a pretty stunning dialogue about what's happening.
I think one point of confusion that they should clear up is, are they trying to end capitalism or are they trying to fix capitalism? If they're trying to fix capitalism, much of the public would support them. If they want to end capitalism, the public would not support them. And I realize, many people want many different things, but some agreement on that broad point would be useful to their cause. So many people would agree financial sector needs much, much better regulation, for example. That's not a socialist, anti-capitalist position. If that's one of their positions, they should be much clearer about that it's not to eat the rich, it's to make sure that large financial institutions are adhering to free market principles, as they're not right now.
Look, I just say about this alleged lack of clarity of message, the idea that you have to have one clear message, that's an old-fashioned, old media idea. What's the headline in the newspaper? What's the lead story on a news show? But this is the 21st century. People communicate in a very different way, in a way that frankly respects the complexity of life much more than the old media did. So grow up, right? There's more than one message. It's very complicated. The message concerns students who are being defrauded on their loans. The message concerns banks that are zealously going after people who default on their mortgages and throwing them out of their homes. The message concerns the brutality of the police.
And why aren't they then in Washington? Because that's the source of all these problems. I mean, it's the policies that companies follow. It's the policies that got us in this economic problem under both administrations. That's the question. Why are they on Wall Street when the game is being run by Washington, and especially the Obama administration, that has failed to deliver on jobs?
Well, a question for Basil. I mean, we're still operated by an organized system of government. If you want change on any of those points, you actually have to go and try to push legislation to get change on any number of points. Are they hurting themselves by not clarifying what it is that they want so they can get it, or is it good to just see what happens in this kind of stew of anger?
Well, that's the interesting bridge that I think is natural for a lot of us, particularly in the business of politics, to consider. Does this have an impact electorally? If you go back a couple of months and look at the campaign for marriage equality, that was clear in the sense that there was a goal, and that there were specific members of the state Senate, state assembly that were being targeted. And I think we kind of come away from that experience saying, okay, this is the end result. These are the people we know we need to go after. That's not really what's happening here. They're talking about broader policy issues, and that's why I think there's this there's this concern about whether or not, are there people that we need to be going after? Is there something that we can actually get behind? Is there an end goal here? Those are some of the constructs that I think people are wrestling with. And you're right, I think it is a great conversation that we should be having right now. But it remains to be seen whether or not there are electoral ramifications to this march. And
do you believe at some point, is this just, trying to bring as many people there as possible and then evolve into having one specific message? Or do you think, what is the end game?
I think the end game is to change the political system, and certainly they will be in Washington, but I think part of the brilliance that underscores this movement is that they didn't go directly to Washington, and they recognized that the policies that were established by Washington have ripped apart the fundamentals of the economic system in terms of the regulatory environment. So what they're saying is, let's go to the funding source first. You cut off access to the capital, and then you can work on policy later. But we have to realize this is a month old, and we're talking about it, and the president mentioned it, and it was in the GOP debate. So to say that they haven't been successful in putting a message out, I think is incorrect.
I agree with that completely. I just want to say part of the protest is against representative democracy, because not only the president, but our senators and our representatives are doing nothing. Look at the pathetic spectacle we had this past summer. They're arguing about the debt ceiling to the very last minute.
Well, I tell you what, we're actually going to talk about politics, and we're going to make some comparisons to the Tea Party when we return. Stay tuned.